This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.
Welcome to the What's News Dunedin, brought to you by Casa Valencia, the radio show that spawned from the 23,000 plus strong local Otipoti Dunedin What's News Dunedin Facebook group. The group has been put in the social media since 2020 with respectful adult debate and a sense of humour. I'm your host Richard Knights. On today's show we'll be talking to our wonderful guest Melanie Kerr, the positivity expert, who'll be telling us a bit more about themselves and what they do, as well as helping us look back at the posts that have generated the most interactions over the past 7 days on the What's News Dunedin Facebook group. Those 3 posts this week were the huge turnout in the Octagon, protesting the Definitions of Man and Woman Amendment Bill. Shane Jones's memory loss regarding whether he used a limo to take him to the building next door from his hotel. And South Dunedin, consultation now delayed for at least 4 months. Welcome to the show, Melanie.
Hi, it's lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. And for everyone listening out, a little public apology to Melanie because I've been calling her Michelle for 2 weeks.
It's okay. I've been called worse things than Michelle. I can assure you of that, Richard.
I finally figured it out. It's Melanie. Melanie. So anyway, I think you are a member of the What's News Dunedin Facebook group.
I am, yes, I am.
Absolutely. So you may be familiar with our Monday Monday post. You may have seen it, you may not. So on Mondays, I get I get people to try and bring their best puns and dad jokes, and then the best joke, and it's all simply done on a number of laugh reacts it gets, comes on the show with me on Friday.
Great.
So we then see if it comes off the page into the spoken word, if it translates into the spoken word as still funny, right? So we'll do our pun of the week this week. So this was from Andrew Perkins, I believe, and quite an often winner. Him and Max Reed fight it out for the pun of the week quite often. Max has had his jokes read out quite a few times. So pun of the week. Singing in the shower is all fun and games until you get shampoo in your mouth. Then it just becomes a soap opera.
I kind of like dad jokes. That sounds like a very good dad joke to me.
It's a groaner. Any joke that you kind of groan at the end of gets the thumbs up in one.
Yeah. It's a clean joke. Get it?
Oh, well, it is. It absolutely.
Soap in the mouth. Clean?
Yeah. Yes. We're not airing any dirty laundry on this show, Melanie. So. Yeah, so we'll take that as a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a win,
I definitely think it translates.
I think that does.
Now, what I also do is, for my guests, I have 3 pop questions that I ask at the beginning of the show, just to ease you into the What's News Dunedin radio show. There's no right or wrong answers here, unless you do get them wrong, and you'll soon find out if you do.
You'll be a buzzer.
I do. I need one of those things that go, like that.
Yeah, so, you're wrong.
But anyway, so first pop question. Cream teas. So you have a scone, you have jam, you have cream. What goes on the scone first, the jam or the cream?
What's a scone? In New Zealand, we call it a scone, don't we?
You may not have guessed this from the way I talk, because I have a very posh accent that I'm not actually from around these parts. I can
figure that. Well, I would say it's a scone, and I would personally, I'd put the jam on first and then the cream. But, oftentimes I've been known to put butter before the jam.
Yeah. Butter's an agreeable first.
Yeah. I would say jam and then copious amounts of cream.
That is the right answer. That is the only question you can get wrong on my show.
Okay, perfect.
I've
passed
with flying colours.
Perfect.
So we do have some.
We're off to a good start.
Well, absolutely, we do have. It's a positive start.
It's a positive
for
start
a positivity expert. But we do have some people that kind of go the other way around, and the show's a little bit tense from that point.
I think it's a worry if they say they put like peanut butter on their scones. That's when I would be like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit different. Yeah. So that is the only question you can get wrong.
Well, I'm pleased. I'm off to a good start.
Fantastic. Now the second question is, who is your favourite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle?
The only one I can think of is Michelangelo, was it? Is it Michelangelo?
Yeah, Mikey's.
The only one I can think of. I can see their little green figures, but I don't actually. I'm a bit old for knowing exactly who they are. So
they're all named after Renaissance painters.
Yes.
So it's like Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello.
Well, you're doing well to remember all that.
Well, I do this every week.
Okay. So, it's the same questions every week?
Well, this one's the same. These are
I should have done my research, Richard.
The top 2 are the same.
Yes.
The third question changes every week, and if you come back on the show, you get different questions.
Right.
So returning guests don't get the same question again, because we would have done that.
So if I'm back by popular demand,
then there'll be no homework. There'll just be new questions.
Good.
Right?
Yep.
So the third and final question is a thinker. Right. So this is: would you rather be able to teleport, but only to places you don't want to go?
Ooh.
Or fly, but only 3 feet off the ground?
Oh, flying 3 feet off the ground, no doubt. I do that in my dreams.
Right.
It's so cool. Have you not done that in your dreams at night?
I had I had a nightmare when I was literally 4 or 5 years old. My first nightmare that I can remember, where I actually flew down the hallway in my old house on a carpet, like a magic carpet.
Oh, wicked.
And when I was running away from a witch.
Was that your...
Well, not running, actually flying away from the witch. And then when I got to the kitchen, which was at actually the end of the hallway, the witch was boiling in a pot on the stove.
Oh, you've been reading too much Roald Dahl, I think.
I probably have.
Yeah,
but that's what that's my first dream that I can remember, and it's stuck with me for for a million years.
It's quite well researched, and people look into it. You know, the meaning behind dreams, and I think the flying one is actually a good thing. It's a good thing.
Right.
I don't think it matters whether you're flying 3 feet off the ground or 30,000 feet above the ground. I think flying is flying. Man, who wouldn't want to do that?
For me, this is easy. Flying is the one I'd go for. Because also, if you're flying 3 feet off the ground, you're looking at everyone going, look at me, mate, I'm flying. If you're up there, people might even notice you. Like Superman probably flies around the world and no one goes, didn't even know he was there. But if you're 3 foot off the ground, everyone's going,
Richard's cool.
They can fly.
Do you think that potentially there's a time in the not too distant future when we might be hovercrafting like that? Just whoosh.
I'd see hovercrafts was a big thing. Like, do you remember? I don't know where I'm from. They used to do a hovercraft that go across the channel. So there was a big passenger hovercraft that would go across from Dover to Calais to cross the English Channel and go to France. And they kind of came and went. They were a big thing, and then they kind of disappeared. So I don't know. I think flying cars. Since
you've brought to mind cartoon figures of the past, let's go way, way back to the Jetsons. And remember they had those wee little kind of cars that they hopped in and hovered around. Yeah, so maybe that's a good thing.
I'll be down for that.
We're taking this off topic, aren't we? I like it.
One of the things you'll find out this show doesn't have a topic. It's we just go with the flow.
We're good because we're both quite profusive talkers. Proficient.
The show will fly by. I think I told you at the beginning that 55 minutes will come and go. So no, I'm with you on the flying on that side of things. So now let's go back and talk about the topics of the week. So the first topic of the week was the protest. We had a protest on Sunday with our rainbow whānau and our trans whānau who protesting the definitions of woman and man amendment bill. I was there. There was something like 1,000 people turned out in Dunedin on Sunday to kind of to try and stand up against this strangeness that New Zealand First seemed to keep bringing into we thought it had gone away a year or so ago, and then it's kind of come back to the table. And there's this really weird thing, and the UK have done it recently where they've tried to legally define a man and woman. But biology and society doesn't actually... It's not that clean. It's not that simple. It's not that easy. And by doing it, it becomes exclusionary on the people it doesn't define. So it seems like there seems to be, in my mind, a lot of attention placed on things like this that deal to only a very small section of there's not a big reason for it. There's no kind of cry and demand. The whole world is not going, hey, if we don't sort this out, it's like homelessness. If you sort homelessness out, everyone's going to be in a better place. But if we don't sort out this particular thing about a legal definition of what a woman and a man is, the whole world's going to fall apart and we're not about to move forward. One of the things that I've got relatives that are transgender. I've got relatives that are in the spectrum of our rainbow whānau. And all they ever want is just to be left alone and just treated like everyone else, because they are like everyone else. Whoever you love or how you identify is actually a very personal thing, right? I'd hate it for someone to suddenly decide that me as a white heterosexual male could not love a particular person over there because they didn't meet their particular way of thinking, and people don't seem to. The things that people don't like me, people who are like me, don't seem to understand that these people are getting treated in a very different way to how they are, and it's a very sort of privileged position. They kind of go, well, what's all the attention for? There's only attention there because you keep trying to sort of push them out to the side and go, hey, look at these people over here. I've obviously got a very very strong opinion about it. What's your take on it?
On what particularly, Richard?
Or on that bill, on the actual, the fact that they're making a lot of noise about something that actually probably has very little relevance in the big scheme of things. It seems like a distraction rather than a something that government should be getting involved in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would. That's quite a big question, and I would have to probably have a little more time to think exactly about that. I think the wonderful thing just to kind of come back to the people protesting, Dunedin does seem to have a very motivated community that do come out and stand up for what they believe in.
Yep.
And so I think that in itself is a good thing, that people have the right to express. As far as changing, I don't know, I myself have never been motivated strongly enough about anything in particular to take to the streets to actually protest. I think we get our chance to voice our opinion on voting day. You know, that's one man, one woman, one human, one vote.
Yep.
And so, like pertaining to what you've spoken about, like I remember I was a marriage celebrant when the gay marriage bill came in New Zealand, and I had lots of couples coming from Australia to be married by me here in New Zealand because it was not possible for them to be married in Australia. And, you know, I just think, yeah, I'm not really sure. I haven't really considered it enough to, I'm not really sure what you're asking me.
No, I mean, let's say there's this bill that's in front of Parliament, whether it's worthy of Parliament's time or whether it's actually something that's just, you know, whether it isn't. I mean, ultimately, it's like to me, I mean, ultimately, my view, people should choose to identify the way they want, and we leave them alone. That's kind of my view, and this bill kind of says we're not going to do that. We're not going to let people do that. You know, and that to me seems to be that to me is kind of crossing the line. I guess it brings up the question of where do you draw the line on that, and I think it's a big conversation, probably way larger than 55 minutes that we've got here today. You know, where do you draw the line on what do people identify as, and who, you know, because you've got your furries and you've got your this and your that. I think it's quite confusing for people. I think maybe. It's just, I don't know. I'm not sure really what the answer is. That's all right. Let's move on to Shane Jones.
Yeah.
Have you seen Shane recently? He's been in the paper.
Not in person.
No, I know.
I wasn't in the limo with him, if that's the question.
Well, you know, that was actually my next question. I mean, yeah. So the whole thing about Shane, just to kind of put the background in, like it transpires that we spoke about this last week on the last show, that he'd spent $63,000 going to some mining convention, you know, extolling the virtues of digging stuff out of the ground to the world.
Where was the convention?
Toronto in Canada. And then, so that was kind of like, and his budget was, he'd kind of done it, spent the money, like gone first class all the way, you know. The budget for the trip was $30,000. He'd spent double that. And this is at a time when many of us are struggling to put food on the table. You know, many of us that even those of us that haven't struggled in the past are now like genuinely struggling with a genuine cost of living crisis. And you've got MPs literally gallivanting around, you know, living off the hog's back basically, and getting, you know, first class this, first class that.
That's MPs from across all of the parties, though, you've got to say.
Absolutely, yeah, totally.
I think sometimes, like, I try, as you can tell, I'm not trying to sit on the fence, but in my line of work, I love everyone equally, and I cannot afford to pin my flag to any particular mast. However, sometimes I think that, the politicians, you know, they're screaming from the pulpit, this and this about how we should live, when they're actually living in a completely different way themselves. And I think sometimes they get a little removed from reality, because I imagine I've been into Parliament and watched them in Parliament, and I think perhaps it becomes a little bit cloistered and sheltered. You know, when you're working in this same environment, you can adopt cultures and habits within that work environment that are completely out of touch with what goes on in the rest of the world. And I wonder if they just get caught up in that.
It is likely, but say the story this week is that he had a limo on hold 24/7 in case he wanted to go somewhere. And apparently he used that limo. This is what they're saying. They used that limo to literally travel from the hotel to the building next door, that was connected by a corridor that he had literally, but he used it to do that, and now suddenly he can't remember
My question is, why would he, if whether he did or didn't, why would he do that?
I know. Exactly.
Do you mean, I don't understand.
No, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I mean, I'm someone that doesn't, I tend to not walk anywhere. Like, I get in my car. If I need to go somewhere, I get in my car, right? So I fully understand getting in your vehicle to go and do something. But I wouldn't do it to go and knock on my neighbour's door. Like, you'd kind of look at that and kind of go, that's probably excessive.
Is there more to that story?
Well, I don't know. And the thing is, the way they're kind of backing away from it and trying to, like, can't remember. It was last year. It makes me more concerned that actually it's more likely to be true than someone coming out and going, no, I didn't do that. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like it's one of those, to me. But it's not just Shane Jones. It's all of them. Like, and I struggle with politics these days because of the fact that I can't look to very many parties or very many people and go, actually, that person's a decent human being, and I'm with them, because most of them, when you look at them, and it's across all flavours of government, all flavours of political party, it feels like they're doing it for themselves.
It's disenchanting, Richard.
It puts people off.
It's no wonder the turnout on voting day is so low, because people are exasperated, and the actual implications of the laws that are being made, and the taxes that are being put upon us, and the way that the implications of those are they fall upon us, the average Joe, and yet we look at some of the decisions being made, and it's just exasperating. It's almost like, also, I think maybe with social media, politics has become like show business.
It has.
And so it really upsets me how divided we've all become and tribal we've all become around, there used to be a saying sort of back in the day when I was growing up, what was it? Sex, religion and politics, these are things you don't discuss. They're private. And you might have a discussion around these things in your home and in closed doors. I mean, obviously times have changed, but that hatred between left and right and this and that, and it's disturbing to me.
I'd agree with that. I mean, I know that I'm left leaning, right? That's where my politics lie. I'm much more about we than me. I'm not I don't have a particular party that I hang my hat on, and I would consider myself reasonably apolitical, in the sense that if National have a good policy, I'm quite happy to say that's a good policy. If New Zealand First had a good policy, and I'm not sure they have had one in this particular coalition, but if they did, I'd be quite happy to defend that policy, because actually it's not about where the ideas come from. For me, it's about the idea, right? But we have become very divided, and you see the right wing attacking the left wing, and the left wing attacking the right wing, and purely because of the fact that it's their opposite. So you kind of have that whole, I can't do this because they did that.
Yes.
And then you see that, and we have this bipartisan flip every sort of so many years. And as soon as another party gets in, they just undo the stuff that the other government, because the other government did it, rather than there being any kind of bipartisan.
It's also
things like health,
yeah.
Right? That should be beyond politics, but it isn't.
Well, it isn't, because there's money involved, and I think it's also subjective, because we form our political views from a very young age, I guess, depending on what our parents thought, whether that pushes us towards what they thought or pushes us away from what they thought, and we're influenced by the things we see on social media. And I think the media, as I sit here in the radio station, has so much to answer for in only presenting part of the story. Like, we're discussing this Shane Jones thing now, and you don't even know, and I don't even know if it's been confirmed,
exactly.
So it's brewing up more discontent and possible hatred or vitriol against Shane Jones. Like, I'm not defending, I don't know. I'm just saying that this is what's happened, that politics has become like show business.
Reality TV.
Yeah, and so there's whole conversations being had around things that aren't even confirmed,
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I've noticed. I think journalism has stopped being investigative and has become clickbait and that kind of thing. And like you say, we'll remember this, right? This.
Yeah.
But if in a week's time someone's worked out that actually none of it happened and it was all false, we won't come back to it. Like our attention,
No, of course.
Our attention span is so
That's
short
right.
and diminished. We won't revisit that and kind of go. And there'll be no responsibility taken for the people that brought the story. Do you remember when that Sydney stabbing that happened in that shopping centre?
God.
And that straight away the news just ran with the fact it was this particular person, and the bloke wasn't even there. And you just kind of go, and they were trying desperately hard to be the first to break the news.
Horrendous.
That they just didn't care, that they got it completely wrong.
Horrendous.
I think it was Channel 9 or something, or Channel 7 in Australia. But when they finally get to no one remembers that fact. They just remember the breaking news bit. And I think, and I've said this for a long time on the What's News Dunedin Facebook group, and I find it hard because we have a wonderful media, local media, right? But I don't believe that they go about their business with the social responsibility that they should. Because again, it's all about the clickbait. It's one-sided, and I think responsible media is something that we're lacking in this country.
I think it's worldwide,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And again, Richard, I think that what's happened is that because of social media, because of the access to all different formats of media, people are jumping into their silos. So they're receiving their news and their news feed from people. It's like an echo chamber. They jump in to listen to whatever confirms their right and their beliefs. And so the balanced, the days of journalism or TV presenters reading the news, when they delivered the news, the facts, who, what, where, when, why and how, without their opinion interlaced and woven through it, those days are gone.
Yep.
So you can't even, turn on the 6 o'clock news and get the facts. This is what has happened. It's all with there's that influence from the journalist or the reporter or the presenter of their influence and their opinion coming layered and laced through it all. So it's all confusing, eh? People just have to make up their own. I just come back to time and time again, and this is what I try to live by, is stand in your own truth and integrity to the best that you can. And that way, no matter what is swirling around you, you'll always find your true north. If you stand in truth and honesty and integrity to the best that you can, people are going to do what they're going to. Shane Jones is going to do what he's going to do, limo or not. This person's going to do what they're going to do. But if you stand true, you also, the light that you shine is clear, and it's a guiding light for other people as well. Because I can't, to be honest with you, Richard, I don't listen to the media. I don't read the newspaper. I try and keep a little bit informed, but it does my head in. In my line of work where I'm dealing with life and death, all of that stuff is a massive distraction, and I find that people get so worked up about it, but there's nothing we can do, and so they end up blowing a fuse, becoming like regurgitating the same old thing over and over and over again, day after day. And there's actually, if you're not called to action the feelings that something evokes in you, then you're only just regurgitating the thoughts and the ideas. And I just try to focus on the beautiful and the good. And that comes across all, that transcends politics. That's in the heart of people. That transcends political parties. That transcends religion, beliefs. That's where I kind of try to come back to.
Fair enough. South Dunedin, topic number 3. Obviously, that's been in the papers and the media for like 2 weeks, like solid. Because it came from a workshop that the council did, and some councillors have come out and were up in arms about the workshop, rightly or wrongly. And there's been some blowback and all manner of kind of things. So yesterday, council was supposed to be voting on whether to go out to consultation on the 3 options that they'd kind of whittled down. This has been an ongoing process. The South Dunedin Futures Programme has been something that's come from decades of work, and we know our friends in whānau in South Dunedin have deal with heavy rain events. They're worried when it rains heavily. They're worried about whether their street's going to flood, their house is going to flood, whether they're going to be packing up their belongings and moving out of their house. It's a horrible, stressful time for everyone in that situation. And they've gone through this South Dunedin Futures Programme. They started with 7 futures, which was a few years ago. They started with 7, and they whittled it down. They went out to community feedback. They went out to community consultation. They whittled it down to 3. It's a joint programme between the ORC, because obviously it's bigger than just Dunedin. It's the Otago Regional Council and Dunedin City Council. They were supposed to be voting on these 3 options and whether they were going to go out and how they were going to go out to consult about these options. But following this workshop, a few councillors have kind of got it into their head that the process was wrong and people were being blindsided, and they wanted to bring in a fourth different option, which is what they call an engineering option, which is just basically pipes and pumps, right? So,
which is what South Dunedin has been relying on since it was reclaimed.
Yeah, exactly. So pipes and pumps is what's there, but better pipes and better pumps, right? And that was one of the future programs of the 7. So that was actually something that was considered in the Big 7. That was one of the options, was a pipes and pumps option, which community consultation said, we don't want that, we want these 3. So they'd kind of moved away from that. But now some councillors that weren't involved in that process have kind of come back to it and gone, we need it, and now suddenly we've now got a fourth one, which they brought like 11th hour. We need this, and there's uproar about it, which has now unfortunately delayed the process by another 4 months at least, because the previously excluded option has not had any work done on it because it was excluded. Now needs to have work done on it in order to be included in any consultation, because you can't kind of just consult on those 3 and then consult on the fourth one later on, because it's not part, because it's messy. Have you been following it? Is that something?
No. I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I haven't. I'd say I know what you're talking about, but I would say no, I haven't really got my thoughts when I heard that. The whole thing is how unsettling for the people in South Dunedin to have other people discussing the potentially the future of their home. And I've been into many homes in South Dunedin. There's a lot of people that have lived there generation after generation, like literally in the same home. It's nothing for some people in South Dunedin. Well, right, it's actually quite common right across Dunedin to have generations like they've lived in the home for 50 years or more. And then to have all this conversation around their home and them to have limited what's the word? Limited availability for them to action what the outcome will be. It must be so unsettling for them.
I absolutely agree. It feels like, for me, because I've watched it very strongly, because I've run for council. I'm on top of a lot of the things that are here. It feels like it's been blown out of proportion in the last 2 weeks. For in the sense of what they're trying to do is go out to speak to those people. They're not, but they've kind of got caught in this sort of like media cycle of the people are now feeling that decisions have already been made, and they haven't. Well, they're actually trying to get to a point where they're actually saying to people, like, tell us, we've got these 3. You wanted, we start with 7. We got to 3. Now we're giving you the 3. We've done more work on those 3, so we know a little bit more what it looks like. And there may be some houses that need to be acquired in that process. These are
But there's quite a lot, right?
Oh, but it
thousands.
Looks, there's something anywhere between, I think, like 1,000 and 1,700 is what the rough thing is looking at.
And if your family have lived in South Dunedin for generations, that's quite a horrifying prospect, I would imagine.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Because if they've lived there for generations, and they obviously the big floods, and then there were floods in October, was it the year before last? And I know that they do live. I lived in South Dunedin for a little bit when we came down from up north, and every time it rained, and if the tide was in, the water table came right up to the doorstep. It was just something that I think people seem to accept that that's how it was.
Yeah.
I think the bigger concern is, and it comes back to what we've been speaking about this whole time that I've been here with you, is that there's a lack of trust in the people making the decisions. I think the average Joe has a lack of trust in the people making the decisions. Consultants who cost a fortune, and in the process, it feels to me like the actual people that the consultants or the counsellors are trying to save are kind of at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, and that's the wrong way. Right?
It's all wrong.
It's the wrong way. But they're trying. Genuinely, the South Dunedin Futures Program is something they've been trying to bring people to it, and it then begs the question: what's the best way to consult with the public? Because like everyone has an opinion, but not everyone chooses to get involved.
No, that's right.
But everyone does choose to get upset when they're told that they're doing this, right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
it's a real, it's very difficult to kind of go, well, we've asked you. You've chosen not to, but now you're upset that we've gone down the road because you can't involve everyone. That's the whole point. Like, it's, you can't.
But
knock
it
on
does
every door.
involve. You can't involve it, but it does involve
it affects
everyone.
doesn't it?
Yeah,
It
that's
absolutely
right.
affects everyone.
Oh, look, it's too big for me. It's huge.
It's massive. It is absolutely massive. And what I feel sorry for is the people that are trying in the background to do this good work. There's lots of staff running around trying to help.
What they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, though, Richard.
No, I guess.
It's like whose idea of good,
exactly,
and whose idea. I don't know.
All I'd say is to people, if they're listening, then and it affects you, is now is the time to be heard. Like now is the time when it finally does come back for consultation in 4 months' time after they've reworked the option that was excluded before. Don't sit there and do nothing. Like, if you've got an opportunity to be heard, and it doesn't matter if it's your one voice or your family's voice. It needs, put yourself in a position where you can at least say, I spoke and they heard me, or I spoke and they chose to do something that I didn't say. At least you have the opportunity to do so.
Isn't it interesting, though? I wonder if there's a sense with the South Dunedin, a sense of, like, again, I feel like our conversation's looping back around and around to that sense of kind of despair. It doesn't matter what I say. The consultants, the experts are going to make their minds up anyway. Like we said about the politicians, making rules, and then we just got to suck it up, or more taxes or whatever. So I wonder if there's just a general feeling of,
I think there's a lot of that.
Hands up in the air, like what difference does it make what I say or my opinion, or because who's listening?
But I would say to those people, as someone that has spoken up and someone that has been heard at that level, and someone that has, I know I've got a big mouth and a big voice, but someone that has been heard and seen that the fact that the things that I've said have been considered, I would say to anyone, like, please don't feel that despair. Actually, genuinely, the people that are working in that big office in the Dunedin City Council do want to hear what you have to say, and so don't bring your exasperation. Actually, take the time, because I think you might be surprised by your outcome, But if they can't hear your voice, they can't listen to it, So I'm a firm believer in speaking up, even if you feel like it's pointless. I think you should speak up. That would be my take.
That's a big call, though, isn't it? Because some people don't speak up within their own family unit, let alone speaking up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a big, again, wow, you raise big topics, don't you? I thought this was going to be lighthearted, like joking around. We're talking about the trans community. I'm like, whoa, I'm sitting firmly on the fence here, Richard.
It's lighthearted all the way through. We're here to have fun too, Melanie. So as long as I don't start calling you Michelle, and then everything will slowly slide down.
But what I would like to just say is, as we kind of come to the end of that conversation around the South Dunedin, is that, man, my heart is with those people. And I just hope for the best outcome for them, and I
agree. Going to talk about you next, but before we do, going to get a quick word from our wonderful sponsor.
Dunedin, meet your new favourite bakery. Casa Valencia at 53 Musselburgh Rise is serving up freshly baked bread, pastries and gorgeous cakes. And if you haven't tried the ube donut yet, you are seriously missing out. Our signature purple yam donut and purple yam drink are the must-try combos your taste buds have been waiting for. Pair it all with a hot or cold drink, grab a cake for someone special, and make your day a little sweeter. Casa Valencia, 53 Musselburgh Rise, Dunedin. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. See you there.
Have you been to Casa Valencia?
I'm thinking about the purple yam.
Oh, their food is glorious.
That sounds incredible.
It is. It's fantastic. They're literally 3 doors down the road from where I work. So I'm there every day.
Have you tried the purple yam?
I've tried everything that they make. Like,
wow!
I to the point where they give me staff lunches now. So I actually I go in there.
You're part of the furniture.
I am literally, and they'll run out the back and they'll find me something that they had for lunch yesterday. But they don't sell it. But they're giving it to me because they're like, Richard, you like your food. I'm literally driven by food.
You're going to have to start walking, Richard.
Well, I walk the 3 doors to the back and forth.
Hey, you could get the limo on standby.
That's what I need, Shane. I'll borrow your limo so I can go next door. But but the food is fantastic. And the people are fantastic. It's a Filipino bakery.
Yeah.
And the empanadas are wonderful. Donuts are fantastic. The mango cake. Oh,
okay, well, you're making me hungry. I might have to go
the mango cake. They're on Musselburgh Rise. But they're awesome people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the food is fantastic.
It's a hard job being a baker. They're up early, trying to estimate how many yam donuts we're going to sell today. And,
I know.
It's a tough gig.
Yeah, they do, and they work Monday to Saturday, so 6 days a week they're doing that, and they do special like lunchy stuff on a Saturday, which I miss out on. Sometimes I get it on Monday when there's some leftovers, and I but other than that, so no, they're great. They're great people, and I thank them very much for sponsoring the show, which is fantastic of them as well. Now, Melanie, positivity expert is how I have introduced you. Perhaps give us the 5 minutes Cliff Notes version of Melanie and what it means to be a positivity expert. And obviously, you've spoken before. You're a marriage and funeral celebrant as well. On top of that, so let people know about you. How about that?
Wow, 5 minutes to summarise 54 years. Here we go. Raised in the Eastern Bay of Plenty in a tiny predominantly Māori community called Taneatua and Rātoki, which is back where Tamaiti shot the flag and the Tūhoi raids happened. So I grew up beyond the confiscation line. So Ngāti Pākehā ho, but I grew up in Tūhoi country. So went on bus to school in Whakatane, and so for people listening who are unsure where Whakatane is, it's on the coast. It's where Whakaari White Island erupted. That's Whakatane in the Eastern Bay of Plenty. So it's a staunch community. It's very different. It's a world away from Dunedin. Ended up at the age of 17 going to live in the outback of Western Australia, where I was raised on dairy farms in the Eastern Bay of Plenty, and went to live in the outback of Western Australia on a 1.3 million acre cattle station, where I was driving trucks and working on gold mines and helping to run the station. Back home to New Zealand and looking for a job, got into a little modelling and television work, and sort of as life unfolded, I ended up working in broadcasting for a number of years. So live local radio station 1XX in Whakatane, so I went back to Whakatane, and then worked at Times More FM in Orewa, and was the host of the Good Morning advertorials on the Good Morning show for TVNZ for 7 years. So I have that kind of, it's a kind of a crazy pin the tail on the donkey sort of background. And so in the time that I was at TVNZ, when you're working on contract, the show gets renewed every year, and you're kind of waiting around that December period to see if they're going to renew the show. So I thought I better kind of put some plans in place to tide me over if Good Morning gets decommissioned, which it did in the end. And so I developed a celebrancy business, and I was initially predominantly a marriage celebrant, and so I was probably one of Auckland's busiest marriage celebrants for about, many years, where I was doing 55 weddings a summer, and the summer period is kind of from spring through to the end of summer. And then we made the decision to come to Dunedin for 9 months in 2018. So it was Anzac Day 2018. We came down here. My darling is a builder. He's also from Taneatua, and we have 3 sons. And we decided to come to Dunedin. He was asked to build a passive home in McAndrew Bay. So we thought, well, never been to Dunedin before, bearing in mind all of our family are in the Eastern Bay of Plenty, in Opotiki and Kawerau and Whakatane. Got down here, and I think 2 weeks after I got to Dunedin, I said, I love this place, I don't want to go back. And so we ended up buying an old hoarder's home up in Māori Hill. It was a 100-year-old home that had 19 tonne of hoardings removed from it, wow. Possums living in it, hornets' nests. And so for the last sort of 8 years, we've been room by room restoring that home to its beautiful magnificence, with every spare minute and every spare dollar, of which are the 2 hardest things in the world to find, time and money. Yep. So we've been doing that. And in the time that I've been down here, I've been working pretty much full-time as a funeral celebrant. So I've been into the hearts and the homes of people right across Otago, predominantly Dunedin, and I'm invited into their homes when they're at their most vulnerable, and I meet with people and I sit with them in their grief, and I love them through that week, from the time of their loved one's passing until the funeral, write the eulogy, learn about the person that's deceased, and then officiate the funeral on the day. And it's sometimes 10 people, it's sometimes nearly 1,000, and in the last 8 years I've been travelling right around New Zealand doing that, but obviously predominantly here in Dunedin. I realised that for a period of time, I was officiating almost 100 funerals a year, and that for my wee heart became a little overwhelming. So I realised that I need to just look at sort of expanding my work, broadening my work. So I always am available for the funeral work. But what I've done is I've developed a mental health and wellbeing framework that I call SOS, Sprinkle of Sunshine. And it's teaching the lessons that walking alongside death has taught me about living. And so I go into schools, I go into rugby clubs, I go into corporate environments, and I talk to them about the power of positivity, that we can't protect ourselves from bad things happening to us in life, but if we develop, I talk about positivity being like a muscle, and if you go to the gym, you develop every day or a few times a week, you develop big strong muscles. I talk about positivity being like a muscle, that if you work on it and develop it, then it strengthens you, and it's there's a lot of kind of neuroscience around it, the power of positivity and the power of it could sound a bit ephemeral, but there's a lot of science around it. So I talk about that, and basically that is a message that lands really beautifully across every industry and every age group, because it's so raw and it's so real. So I think that's kind of where I'm at the moment, and that's what I've been doing for the last kind of 12 months, building on that. So that takes me again around the country. I was in Fiji recently delivering my keynote. It's beautiful work. It's hard work.
It sounds it.
Yeah.
It sounds it. I can kind of relate to what you said about the fact that, when you were doing all those funerals, that it kind of might make your heart hurt as you're doing that, because you're there with someone in their most vulnerable, and I guess you would have had a choice at that point in time to either keep doing what you're doing or to find a way to move beyond that, and that's what you've done, right? So you anyone sort of listening will know that you will straight away that you're a glass half full kind of personality type.
3/4 full.
3/4, even better still. If you're not an engineer, the engineer just said it's the wrong size glass, right? So, but I'm very similar, right? So I'm a firm believer that you kind of get back from the world what you put out, and if you're positive about that, then good things come the other way.
But bad shiz happens to good people as well, you know.
Absolutely.
And so I think that one thing not to be underestimated is although I've developed my positivity muscle, and I choose to bring light and beauty and I choose to focus on the good, you cannot do that by denying the bad.
Right.
You have to lean into the pain and the heartache and the horrors of this world, but you lean into them, you've got to feel the emotions that those evoke in you, and then you've got to step back into the light, because I think that's where why I kind of shelter myself against all this negative news stuff. It puts me into a downward spiral. I can't be well and serve the community that I choose to serve and the line of work that I choose to work in if I myself am tumbling down. That doesn't mean I'm everyday chipper. It doesn't mean that I don't get out of bed some mornings, and having officiated a suicide funeral for a 22-year-old and a 90-year-old's funeral that last week, and a little stillborn baby this week. You can't go through all of that and just be, hey, stick on a happy face. It's not like that.
Yeah.
But by leaning into that, the pain and life, I guess, is in equal parts beautiful and awesome and heartbreaking and tragic and wondrous and devastating. You need a surgeon's scalpel to delineate the things that I've seen, even in the darkest moments. Truly the darkest moments, there is always beauty to be found. And so just coming back to that positivity muscle that I talk about, the dumbbell or the weight that I use to exercise my positivity muscle is beauty. And so I say, see it at all times, seek it, and share it.
I mean, that hits home, like for me. When you're How do people find you? How do people reach out to you? How does someone know that Melanie is this person that can bring this information. Is it individuals that are reaching out to you? I mean, obviously for funerals, yes, but from the positivity side of things, or is it corporations?
It's both. Yeah, it's both. Yeah. So I have a wee following on Instagram. People can follow me there, and I just put up my happy, fun. I like to, just coming back to the beauty, my page is kind of crazy because it'll be one day it'll be, I have a saying to all the ladies and whoever else wants to, wear the dress because we've only got today. We've got this one day to shine, to sparkle and to be beautiful. Wear the dress. And so I'll put up silly posts on my Instagram about beautiful clothes. I love op shopping. I've got a vintage car that I drive. I try to just enrich my own life with objects of beauty. Now, are those objects individually of great importance to me? Well, yes and no, because everything's precious and nothing's precious. But I've got a wee following of people on Instagram socials, but really the people that are reaching out to me, well, as you say, the funeral work, it comes through families, but the corporate work, there's a bit of hustle, I've got to say, involved in that. You've got to I've got an agent or some agents, and they do a little work for me. It's word of mouth. It's people who know you. Right. I think everywhere I go, it's this funny thing. I was thinking about it the other day about, personal brand, Richard. It's a funny time that we live in. Once upon a time, people wouldn't have had a clue what is your personal brand, and it seems so, kind of, I don't know, but when you're a person that works interfacing with the public like I do, it's something that I have to consider that. But then again, I don't have to consider it because I come back to, again, what I started to say to you earlier about walking in truth and integrity. So when you're living your best, most honest life that you can to the best of your ability, and you're being living in integrity, then it's actually not that hard to present a person or your brand to the world that's honest, and I think it's about being accountable at what comes out of your mouth, So you might have thought I've been a bit evasive through this interview. I have my opinions on different things, but I'm not going to air them on the radio because I think I don't want to divide people. My purpose in life is to bring people together, to be inclusive, to just love people. That's truly is my and that's literally what I have to do in my line of work, especially with the funeral work.
I've got some more questions for you, but before we do, just another word from our wonderful sponsor.
Dunedin, meet your new favourite bakery. Casa Valencia at 53 Musselburgh Rise is serving up freshly baked bread, pastries and gorgeous cakes. And if you haven't tried the ube donut yet, you are seriously missing out. Our signature purple yam donut and purple yam drink are the must-try combos your taste buds have been waiting for. Pair it all with a hot or cold drink, grab a cake for someone special, and make your day a little sweeter. Casa Valencia, 53 Musselburgh Rise, Dunedin. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. See you there.
You see a lot of motivational speakers, right? You see a lot of them, especially on TikTok and all that kind of stuff. Would you consider that's what you're doing with your positivity stuff, or would you say that it's what you're doing is something different to that?
I don't set out to be motivational, but if I can motivate or shift someone's, I think I talk about shifting perspective a lot because, like, if I present something to, let's say I'm holding a mug of tea. Let's say I'm holding it in my hand and I'm holding it to you like this, and I'm saying to you, "Has this mug got a handle on it?" Well, the way I'm holding it to you, you could say, no, it hasn't. You could argue that till you're blue in the face until I turn the mug around and you see the handle. It's all about perspective. I think everything in life is about perspective. Even the conversations that we've been having here, and of course your perspective is what you've been grown. We have naturally, we're inclined personality-wise, we're inclined to see things from either a positive perspective or a more negative one. And that's not, negative is not wrong, by the way. It's just a different perspective. So I think that if I can motivate people to be open to different perspectives, then that's, I don't set out to say, oh, I'm a motivational speaker. My aim is to, and this is a decision I made when I was a very small girl on the school bus from Taneatua to Whakatane, that I want to leave people, I want to see and notice things in this life, beautiful things that other people haven't seen, and I want to share them with the world. And so for me, if I can just make your day a little bit brighter when I come to cross your path, obviously that is so easy. People are drowning in a sea of negativity. People are overwhelmed. People are stressed out. People are disconnected. They're turning to their phones by means of shutting out the world. They're turning to alcohol, to drugs. If I can just say to you, hey, look up, you're worth it, you're beautiful, I see you. What a difference that can make in people's worlds. It's not about setting out to, I'm going to motivate you. So I don't know. I haven't really, maybe I am a motivational speaker, maybe, but really I think it's more about encouraging people to make little shifts, little really simple shifts that don't cost anything, and shift perspective. Because when you shift your perspective just a moment, like if I'm looking out this window here, I can see some seagulls on the roof over here. But if I turn my head this way and look at this perspective, I can see something completely different,
Right.
It's like when you're on a plane and you're above the clouds and the sun is beaming down on the plane and you're thinking, what a beautiful day. And then you come down through the clouds and it's raining. And you're like, whoa, how could that happen? But the sun's always shining up there,
I'm with you. So is this something that you kind of put to organisations and stuff as a long kind of program, or is it more like one, like drop in once, talk about those things and then kind of move on to the next?
But potentially more the second. So the keynotes that I deliver are more like, hey, boom, it's like a barocca for your business, have it and shift perspective. I offer them, because I cannot be responsible for what you take from my message and what you apply to your life. I'll offer you this with love and you take from it what you will. So I'm not there to check up. However, that said, I'll deliver a keynote, and then if companies or individuals or organisations wish to work with me in an ongoing, in a more ongoing term, I certainly do offer what's coaching and programs that help with that. So.
And can someone who's just an individual that's listening, someone that's listening in right now, kind of go, actually, I like the cut of their jib. I like what they're saying. I'd like to get a little bit of that positivity myself. Is it something that an individual can come to you and 100%. And engage with you about?
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. And so I think probably the best way to do that is just to find me on social media or reach out. I'm here and I'm available. And I do quite a lot of work around Dunedin on a voluntary basis. I'm involved with Canine Medical Detection. I'm their ambassador, and they're training the dogs to detect cancer.
I've had them on the show.
Have you had Pauline in?
Oh, you're fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I'm the
absolutely.
ambassador for Canine Medical Detection. I think that, if I could give people one piece of advice, it would be, and trust me, we've had tragedy and heartache. So all the while that I'm offering my love and services to families in grief, we've also in our family navigated huge amounts of grief in the last sort of 3 or 4 years. And so my advice to even to my own sons is always, if you're feeling really bad, do one simple thing for someone else and it will immediately take you outside of yourself. One simple thing. It might be bring in the old lady's bin. It might be, it doesn't have to be grandiose gestures. It can be just the simplest one thing. It might even be smile at someone or say hello.
Yeah.
And it immediately takes you outside of yourself, because people need people and we're all aching for that human connection, whether we acknowledge that or not.
I think so. Well, I've got a personal goal every day. One personal goal of mine. I've had it since I can't remember since where, make someone laugh.
Yeah.
And I succeed in that goal every single day. I'm pleased to say, right?
Yeah.
But it's in my brain every day when I get up that it doesn't matter what I'm doing. My job is to make at least one person laugh today.
Isn't that wonderful?
And I do it and I get so much from that. Like, and I don't come home and go, did I make someone laugh today? No. I just know I have.
But look at the opportunities that life is affording you, because you've got that motivation in your mind and you focus on that. You spend time growing that positivity muscle, and life has afforded you these. Look, you're interviewing me on the radio and you've got 23,000 followers on your Facebook page. Like, when we focus our intention on something and then we put in the steps behind that to work towards it, I think life offers up opportunities, or at least the opportunities were always there, but you tune your eyes to see them and then you step into them. And so look at that.
I know. It's been
well, you've
fantastic.
made me laugh today.
and the thing is that doing that group has afforded me so many opportunities. Like, again, it was my choice to be positive and put together a group that was positive, and that has generated positivity tenfold, 100,000-fold times back at me from those things that I've done, the people that have reached out, the people that have come on my show. I've done 150 shows, right?
Amazing.
So I've met 150 people that I never would have met ever if I hadn't have done the things that I'm doing. And it wasn't like I set out to do that. It was just that there was a mental goal of being positive, and so I absolutely am in sync with what the sort of the message that you must be putting out there, because it's amazing.
As I hear you say that, Richard, I'm just thinking of your listeners who might be listening now and thinking, oh well, it's easy for them to say, I'm just one little person and I've got this idea of something I'd like to do, but I don't really know how to get started. And if you are out there thinking that, I would just encourage you that Dunedin's a wonderful place to step into the world, because I think generally Dunedin is a very safe and encouraging environment. So if you've got one little thing that's on your heart or mind to do, look out, whether it be through social media or through conversations you have at the cafe, start speaking it into existence, because when you start to say, oh, I'd love to take up a painting class, or I'd love to teach or work with disabled children, or I'd love to whatever, when you start speaking it, people come around you and help to make it happen for you.
And I'm going to stop you there. It's a perfect place. I told you we're running out of time. Just sit there while I round out the show. Thank you, Melanie.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, that's a wrap for this week. Thank you for tuning in. I've been Richard Knights and you've all been wonderful. Remember, if you're looking for a robust, respectful adult debate about all things local and further afield, and a welcoming online community that doesn't take itself too seriously, come and find What's News Dunedin on Facebook and join our fun. On next week's show, we're talking to Shalane Hopkins, author of One Step at a Time, and look forward to seeing you next Friday at 12 on OAR FM. And if you want to listen to the show again or simply share it with your friends, you can find the podcast at oar.org.nz or even on Spotify, YouTube or your favourite podcast provider.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.